Hello and welcome to SoftIQ Technologies. In today's video, we'll be looking at how to install multiple Odoo instances on a single machine in Windows. Our objectives will be as below. We are going to install multiple Odoo instances on a single machine. We're also going to install different versions of PostgreSQL. We are also going to install different editions of Odoo. We're also going to change Odoo ports in the configuration file. We are going to install the additional service. We are going to create the PostgreSQL login group role for OpenPG, and we are going to open all versions. So for today's example, we are going to install Odoo version 17 Enterprise and Odoo version 17 Community. This can be downloaded and installed from the link which will be provided below. So after installing, you will install with the default port and user, that is 5432, and the OpenPG user. Odoo version 17 Enterprise installs PostgreSQL version 12 by default, which can be accessed using pgadmin, which is the most popular and feature-rich open source administration and development platform for PostgreSQL. So after installing Odoo version 17 Enterprise, we are going to open it on a browser using port 8069, and we currently have it running here. And in case you want to know the version of the PostgreSQL, as I said, you can open the pgadmin. So once you open pgadmin, you need to put a password. Let's give it some few seconds. Let's wait for it to open. Okay, so after we finish that first task of having Odoo Enterprise running on the default ports, okay, it's open. So you can see here it installed version Postgres version 12. So for the second installation, that is Odoo version 17 Community, we are going to install a new PostgreSQL. So this can be downloaded online if you just come here and type PostgreSQL download. Of course, I've already downloaded it. So you can come here to Windows, download the installer. So PostgreSQL version 12 is installed. So we are going to install version 13 to be used by Odoo version 17 Community, which as I mentioned, I have it downloaded. So we are going to install version 13. So for this case, we are going to install Postgres and then install Odoo. So the database first and then the application second. So we need to point it to the path of the folder which we have created for Odoo Community. And here we need to just include the name of the database where it will be put. You can just type it like that. It's going to install all these options under a folder called data. That's why it will have the database. So we need to put a password for the Postgres user. It's going to be installed on port 5433 because the previous one is installed on port 5432. Then we let it run. So this once I've already put the password and the port 5433, and then we let it run. Okay. As it installs, I can just be explaining. So for today's example, we are going to install same version of Odoo but different editions, that is Community and Enterprise, both on version 17. The installation of different versions 16 and 7 is, let's say version 16 and 17 is very similar. I will explain where the change comes in. Okay, so once it finishes installing, we will need to, sorry, we are still here. We are yet to install the Odoo community. And in case you want to download the Odoo community, you can just come here to odoo.com/page/download. You can come and download it. So these are the two editions, community and enterprise. You can come and choose for Windows. So for today's example, we are talking about Windows installations. So I've already downloaded it. So let's just wait for this PostgreSQL to install. Okay, so we are going to untick this stack builder. We don't want to install the stack builder, and then finish. Now from our presentation, the next thing is installing the second, so after installing the second Postgres community, we are going to install the Odoo community. So the way you differentiate the two applications, so the enterprise one usually has an E at the end, and the community one doesn't have an E. So this is the one we want to install. Since the database is installed, it will only tick this one here for the Odoo server, but the database is already installed. We're also going to point it to the same folder, that is the Odoo community version 17, and then install it. So as it continues to install, once it finishes, we are going to go and also change the config file. But in the meantime, we can be looking at the config file for the enterprise. So if you come here to the server and then you come here to the config file, you can see our version 17 enterprise is running on the database port for Postgres is 5432, and you can access it on browser on 8069. This is the HTTP port, which is here, 8069, and the path to the database is also defined here under the PG path. So as we wait for it to install, I can also show you the service for the enterprise. So right now, this is the Odoo service for the enterprise, but it's going to be replaced with by the Odoo community. So that's what happens whenever you install two editions, two editions of the same version. Basically, Odoo Enterprise will be replaced by the Odoo community, and that's where we are going to come and create a new service. This is the task we'll do just after we change the ports. So let's wait for it to finish. So it's going to replace the previous service, which is still okay. So here we'll say next. We're not going to start it. We're just going to finish. And then now we are going to come to the folder for Odoo community. Go to the server, then to the config file. Now this config file, we need to change the Postgres port, which we know is 5433. We also know that we want it to run on the port 8079. We also want to define the path to the database. So you just come here and you go to PostgreSQL and then bin. This is a database executable, the PSQL. Where is it? This one here. So we copy this path and we come and put it here under the DB path. Postgres path, post it there, and then we save. Okay, so that is the Postgres path. The ports are done. So I'm just going to restart that service. But even before we restart, let me just check the next. Okay, so we want to install the additional service. So when you install the same version of Odoo but on different editions as below, they install on the same service. For example, Odoo version 17 Enterprise and Odoo version 17 Community. To enable them to run together, you need to install the Enterprise service as it is replaced by the installation of Community. This is done using NSSM, which stands for the Non-Sucking Service Manager, which is a service helper program that assists in managing the Odoo services. Open command line and run the following command. Okay, so let's just open the command line. We need to change the directory. We're going to choose the directory where the executable for the NSSM is. Then we're just going to run this command. So we will copy this we'll just copy this one actually. This one also we are going to copy. Okay, so this will be the service for the Odoo community. So we want to create a new service for the enterprise. So from here we're just going to again change directory, and now this time around go to the Odoo Enterprise NSSM. So we run the command NSSM install Odoo server 17.0 and then we add E. Now the path for this, we are going to point it to Odoo ERP. Then we copy these arguments that we had copied from the previous one. We're going to give it the name Odoo server 17.0, then E, and then we're going to give it this account for the local service. Just going to double check everything is okay. So the Python file and the arguments. Okay, so now if you go and refresh our services and then we search for Odoo, we now have the two services there. We're just going to start this and we're going to restart this. We're going to restart this. So that's how you create the additional service, the enterprise service. Next now is we need to go to the pgadmin, and so after installing the Odoo version 17 community, open pgadmin and create a login group role called openpg. Remember, by default the Odoo version, the Postgres we installed came with a user called Postgres, but there is no user called openpg. That's what we need to create right now. So we open pgadmin. So sometimes you'll find that it's only seeing the first PostgreSQL. So you may need to refresh it, or even in some instances you may need to restart your computer so that it sees the second service. Okay, let me just restart the PostgreSQL. Still not seeing the Postgres version 13. Just try to open it again. Okay, I will pause the video for now and I will restart my computer. So we have restarted our computer, and now if we go to pgadmin, we can see the second PostgreSQL, which is version 13. Now it will ask us for the password for Postgres, the one we just put. Now what we are going to do here is, if you come here under the login group roles, there is no user called openpg, so we are going to create one called openpg. This is the one that is used by Odoo. And give it the default password openpg pwd. We're going to give it full rights. So that is the first part. Now we also need to give it here that it will be the default user. So we put here openpg. Now we are going to check whether all our services are running. So our enterprise is running on port 8069. And then our community is running on 8079. So we are going to create a new database. We log in with the username and the password we put. Now we have our enterprise here and our community here, both running on different ports, and the databases are also available, which you can also view them under the pgadmin. So if you just come here, so we can see our databases for both of them. They have the same name. So the next task is open all versions of Odoo, which we have just done. So that concludes our video for today. We have been able to install multiple Odoo instances on a single machine in Windows. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. We welcome any questions or suggestions. So feel free to email us at info@softiqtechnologies.co.ke. And in case you want to support this channel, kindly subscribe and like our page. And if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, below is our PayPal. We will appreciate. Thank you.